Hello, everyone. Happy Friday or happy Saturday, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us. This is USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I'm the president, chief listening officer, and the founder of this platform. We continue to grow, and I thank you so much. Thank you to all of our guests, to our viewers, to our team, and to our sponsors. Our show today is The Listening Mentor, and our topic is, I've tried everything to fit in. What do I do now? We've all been in that position where we've maybe moved into a new job, a new role, a new city, a new town, a new community, whatever it might be, and we just don't feel like we fit in. What can we do about it? Here to help us with this topic is the star of our show. She's known as the Harley Street stress expert. She's in London, and she helps people bust their stress. Her name is Caroline HEWARD, and she's an integral part of our platform and our community here. Let's welcome her live to the show. Hello.
Hello. Wow, that was a bit of an intro. Woohoo. I finally got to that.
I never know what I'm going to say. So
I know.
That's the beauty of it. So, Caroline, we've talked about this before, but since it is the beginning of the year, people are going through a lot of transitions. They have happy times, sad times. They're fearful, they're hopeful. They reach out to you and you help them. Tell us a little bit about how you provide that comfort, that new perspective, that epiphany, and what that looks like for people who are interested in contacting you.
It looks like whatever is going on for you that's not working. This week I had a mother who called, and she said that her son, who was 19, had tried to end his life. She was obviously beside herself, and this is the time of year that can happen, where we feel completely overwhelmed. We don't know where to go. We're trying to figure stuff out, but we don't know what to do. And the point that people get to is, I'm better off not here anymore. And obviously the mother was absolutely beside herself, really worried, not knowing what to do. She reached out and I helped her to come to a calmer perspective so that she felt more peaceful, to be able to be more resourceful for her son. And the following night I worked with her son. And I'm very happy to say that both mother and son are feeling much, much happier, much more peaceful, because that's what it is. It's when our world becomes so stressful, so traumatic, that we don't know what to do. We don't have the answers. There's nowhere to turn. And so that's at the point that people make the decision to not be here anymore. So it's been quite an estranged week, and at the same time a very, very productive week, because both mother and son are feeling much happier. So that's one of the things that can happen at this time of year, that we become overwhelmed and not knowing how to go forward. Also, relationships, they either start or they end. And so it's always a tricky time around Christmas, New Year for relationships. And also work, jobs, finances, all those big things after the Christmas and New Year expenditure. Then we've got to find the money to pay for everything that we've spent during the festive season. So there's all sorts of things that can come up for people that are difficult, challenging, and we all have our own different challenges, especially being the first week back in January.
Absolutely. And I think that just by hearing your voice, it's very soothing and calming. That in and alone of itself can really help somebody. So anyone out there who is going through a stressful time, who's kind of questioning what is their purpose, please reach out. Do not sit in silence, because there are people like Caroline who are here to help you. And she is definitely available. She's got a free, I was choking on that, free 30-minute stress buster consultation. So please reach out. All right, I want to talk about our topic today and find out from a personal perspective if you've ever had this happen, and from a professional perspective if you've ever worked with anyone who's had this happening. You just feel like you don't fit in. Sometimes it's even your own family. Sometimes it's even in your own skin. You're not comfortable with who you are, and no matter what you try to do, it doesn't seem like you feel comfortable with yourself, with other people. So have you experienced this personally and or professionally, Caroline?
Both, yes. Trying to be something or fit into something that doesn't work. And this is where you'll feel an inauthenticness about the experience and trying to push yourself. I call it trying to put a square peg into a round hole, where we're trying to be something that we're not really feeling comfortable to be or to experience in terms of a situation. And so what do? You either put up and shut up, because that's, sort of obviously a way that you can get through it, or you can speak up. You can say in as eloquent way as possible that it's not working or something's not right. Can we have a conversation about this? It really just depends on where you're at and how you feel. I've certainly kept quiet before now, not said anything, turned it all over in terms of my own processing. And then I've plucked up the courage to speak to the relevant people to say, I'm not happy about this. This feels uncomfortable. And so, yes, from a personal perspective, I've been in training situations where I've not been comfortable with what's been going on in the training environment. And it took me a while to speak up because I thought everybody else is quite comfortable. Maybe it's me, maybe it's not my place, my community to be training. And I did pluck up the courage. And when I did, I was quite surprised at the feedback and the response that I had. And things changed in that environment to the better. It became more professional. And I do have quite high standards when I train. So from a professional perspective, I've had people that have, from the perspective of clients, arrive very late, and then that takes me out of what I was going to do afterwards. And so although I feel uncomfortable about saying, look, you're 2 hours late for your session, and that puts me back, they're actually coming to me because they're really stressed. And so I, make light of it, and without, being too harsh, and at the same time actually stating my case.
It just goes to show you that we're all human, right? It can happen to anybody, and it's really our perspective. And I think it's important that when we have these feelings, and of course you're the expert, so I love your comments on it, that we deal with it. We acknowledge that it's there. We acknowledge we feel uncomfortable, and then we have to get to the bottom of exactly why do we feel uncomfortable, and then what are some of the tools that we can use to get back into comfort. And I've said this expression just at the beginning of the show, and I've heard it so many times. People say, I'm just not comfortable in my own skin. And that's really profound, isn't it?
Well, yes. And when you're not comfortable, it's because everything around you is saying, this is not right, this is not right. But that's your response and your reaction. And so it's important to process what's come up in terms of your response and your reaction, because it's yours. Things can happen, and it's like sort of I call it water off a duck's back. So a situation that's difficult can happen, and we don't respond. It's kind of, oh well, I'll get on with it. I just have to work around this, and it's not affecting us. And when things affect us, this is what is important to look at, because that's our stuff. Then that's something that is something that we can change and we can handle. And that's the bit that is important to look at. Are you responding and reacting? And if you're angry about something, there'll be a suppressed anger in you or a suppressed sadness in you about the situation because it's brought up other things that are unresolved within yourself. And it's important to look at those things and what it brings up for you, because that feeling, that experience will be familiar. And so whatever you're experiencing, that familiarity, that's yours to handle. The person that's being angry or sad with you, they will have their own stuff to handle, and it's important to handle yours. And that's where you can step into a complete state of authenticity and integrity, because when you handle your own stuff, everything else disappears. And you're not responding and reacting to the other things. So you can keep your own space of peace.
Thank you, Caroline. And something that's coming up for me as you were sharing that is when you are in your own space and you're dealing with your issues and you're not reacting, that is really empowering. And when you lose it, when you lose control of yourself, it doesn't feel good at all. It's kind of like, wow, not only do I feel like I don't fit in, but I can't even control myself, ranting and raving or trying to take revenge on someone. All of these things just end up hurting us. And you always talk about the power of the, what is it? The power of the hands.
So, well, being present is important. That it's important to respect yourself. So being in the now moment is absolutely critical, because if you're not in this now moment, you can't control anything. If you're in the past or in the future or in your head, because that's where you are when you're in the past experiences and running around in your head about past stuff, or in the future with anxiety with future stuff, you can't handle what's going on right now. So it's really, really important to be in this moment so that you can respond authentically.
Very true. Thank you. And we have a comment from Buffster. Nice to have you with us today. Thanks for coming back. Profound words. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And when you think about it, trying to fit in, I know through my life I've spent a lot of time alone for one reason or another, and I've gone to dinner by myself, I've gone to the movies by myself, and I would always feel kind of, oh, everybody's looking at me and like, oh, look at her, she's alone. And well, no one's looking, no one really cares. And I decided to turn it around the other way and think of it as, wow, how confident am I that I'm able to go and do these things and actually enjoy myself, instead of worrying about what everybody else is thinking, or going and doing it with somebody who's going to drive you crazy, or you're just not into spending time with them. And many people do that. They just have somebody along for the ride because they're afraid to be by themselves.
That's such a valid point. For many, many years, being single, I didn't do things. So this is extraordinarily interesting. And if there was a concert that I wanted to go to, I didn't go unless I had someone to go with. If there was something I wanted to do or to see, if I couldn't find anyone to go with, then I just didn't go. And I remember having a conversation with a very, very dear friend, and she did a lot of things on her own, and we live in different places, sort of quite far away, different places, one end of the country to another. And she was having this extraordinary conversation with me as to say, well, why aren't you going to that concert that you really want to go to? And I says, well, because I won't enjoy it if I'm on my own. I want to share it with someone. And she says, well, that's silly. She says, because, you want to go, so why don't you? And there was something that happened. I wanted to get tickets for a concert for my birthday to see Simply Red. Now I'm really showing my age. And I really love that band. I really love that band, Mick Hucknall, any day. And I couldn't get 2 tickets. I was looking for 2 tickets because my very good friend said she was going to come with me. Couldn't get 2 tickets. 3 days before my birthday, I decided to look for one ticket, and there was one in the middle of the stage. It was 4 rows from the front, like sort of very front row stage seat. And I picked it up and I thought, right, I'm going to do this. It was my very first concert that I did on my own, and I've never looked back. Because I was just having the time of my life. I was singing, I was dancing, I was celebrating my birthday with being in this concert, that there was not a possibility to get 2 tickets. There was only one in the place that I wanted it. And so therein lay the beginning of me doing things on my own to have that enjoyment, because in a concert I'm just singing and dancing anyway. So if I'm with somebody, they're either singing and dancing with me or I've forgotten them. So it was a real insight to have that feedback from my friend, because it made me do some things that I wouldn't have done in the past. With meditations, I'm very happy to go on my own because that is very solitary. With dance, ecstatic dances, I'm really happy to do that. But with normal things like concerts, or going to the bar, going to a pub, I wouldn't do that. That's not my thing. Going to a nightclub, I wouldn't do that either, because that's just not my thing to be there on my own. But, I do a lot of meditations on my own, and I really, really enjoy it. And I meet other people that are like mind, like soul, and like spirit.
I really appreciate that. And it worked out really well for you. And if you hadn't changed your perspective and gotten out of your zone of fear, you never would have had that opportunity. On the other side, I remember, I think the last concert I went to, and I'm really embarrassed to say this, I think they're still out there, is Mamma Mia. I think they're still on Broadway or West End or something.
Yes. Yes.
But I actually went with somebody that I was seeing at the time, and I had the worst time because I was up dancing and singing like a complete crazy person. And that person just sat in the seat miserable. Can we go yet? Is it time to go yet? And I was thinking, why am I with this person? But yet we do that. It's like dragging bags of bricks with us because we can't be by ourselves. And when you're by yourself, it's so liberating. I do almost everything by myself, and I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly happy. And people will say, you really need to find someone. No, I really don't need to find someone. Not at this point in my life. I'm happy with what I'm doing. But we do have some comments from Buffster. So let's honor Buffster and read these questions. Okay, here it is. So there's a few, so it all goes to the same topic. May I ask, what would you recommend to goading? Goading, either intentional or unintentional, I find it very hard not to respond with a calm response, especially when people are questioning my integrity in a stressful situation. I find it hard to be calm when people are verbally abusive or questioning my integrity. Any tips and insights would be appreciated. Sorry, there was one more. It does not tend to produce a good response, maybe fear or rejection, followed by hounding. Am I being accused of being the bad guy despite me not starting the aggression? Wow. What do you say to that? Thank you, Buster.
Their stuff. That's their stuff. It's not yours, Buster. It's theirs. If they are goading you and saying things to you contrary to what you feel comfortable in being and saying and experiencing, that is their stuff coming up. If you are very comfortable in the way that you are responding in terms of a situation, then it's nothing to do with you. It's their uncomfortableness. And when somebody's goading you to do something, that is because that they're trying to get an experience through you that they won't do themselves. So it's very important to, a British term is to stick to your guns, or dig your heels in. If you're having a reaction to it, so if there's something coming up for you, whatever that is, that then is your stuff to handle. The person very much is in their own drama, and it's what we call transference. So they're sticking their stuff on you for you to handle. And so it's important for you to say something like, that's not mine to handle, or, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you, as calmly as you can, because the more peaceful and the more calm and the more in your authenticity that you are, that will actually throw their stuff back to them, and then you won't be handling it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Buster also is appreciative. Yes, that makes so much sense. And thank you, Caroline.
Oh,
Thank
you're very
you.
welcome.
Thanks for the question. We've discussed this before, but I think it really makes a lot of sense to bring it in again now because we're talking about goading. What about on the opposite side, and you and I have experienced this not together, but through with other people, is when you're in a relationship, whatever kind of relationship it is, it could be a family, it could be intimate relationship, and you're in the relationship, but the person goes dark. And then the person shows up, and then the person goes dark, and then they show up. What does that mean?
It might be that they're busy and they can't keep up with everything. I've certainly had challenges in keeping up with all the social media because I'm on different platforms, on shows, and I think, oh, somebody sent me a message and then I forget about it. So it might be that the person's forgotten. They've seen the message and then they've forgotten to respond. And that can be forgiven, if you know that they're the kind of person that's very full on. It could be that they haven't got the space to be everything to everyone. It might be that something else is going on in their personal life, like sort of a relationship issue. It could be a work issue. It could be that they're not well. There could be all sorts of reasons that people go silent. I call it going silent, or, when I was growing up, my mum would say, I've been sent to Coventry. What that would mean is that the people around her had gone silent on her. And so that silence, it just might not be your stuff. It might be something going on in their world. And you're experiencing the backlash of that silence. So when that happens, my invitation, if there's something that's coming up for you, is to ask outright. Sometimes we can go round and round in our mind, thinking up all sorts of scenarios, all sorts of reasons why this, why that, why the other. And actually, it could very well be that if we simply ask, hey, not heard from you for a while, is everything okay? Because it might just not be okay in their world. Hey, I wondered what's happening. I've not heard from you. Is everything all right with you? Are you in any trouble? I'm just concerned because I've not heard anything from you. So, come from a place of authenticness, come from a place of concern. And if they still don't respond, then there is something going on in their world and you know that it's not you.
Thanks, Caroline. I appreciate what you're saying. I have a little bit of a different perspective, although I agree with what you're saying. I feel like unless you are incapacitated and unconscious or imprisoned, there is no reason why you can't just take 5 or 10 seconds to write something, unable to speak, reach out to you next week, something, anything. I think it's disrespectful. And I feel like when you show someone respect, they should show you the same level of respect. It doesn't mean they have to drop what they're doing, but I think in all regards, even in a business situation, if you are in the process of negotiating a deal with a client and the client goes dark, it's pretty much, in my experience, what I found out is either they're not going to do business with you or they're not going to do business with you. And it's because something else has come up that it's no longer a priority. And they don't want to tell you that because they can't find the words to tell you. And they sort of hide. And I feel like in personal relationships, it's the same thing, because it's just a matter of giving some information. If you share with someone, hey, Caroline, I can't speak with you right now. It's like what we talk about in the power of listening, setting boundaries. This isn't a good time for me, but I'd love to chat with you next week for 10, whatever it is. And then there's that closure. Then both people know, okay, there's not a problem in the relationship per se, if you're okay with that kind of relationship, but this person's not available and they're acknowledging you and they're letting you know, I hear you, I see you, I appreciate you, but I don't have the time for you right now. And then you have to make a decision. Do you want to be a friend with somebody if that's the situation, or a lover, or whatever the case is? What do you think about that?
We live in a time that it's very immediate in terms of our social media, the platforms, and sometimes we're on many different platforms. And I certainly, for instance, don't keep up with all my LinkedIn. I've now got it on my phone, and it doesn't give me an alert to say it's coming up. Otherwise, my phone will be pinging, which is really annoying. So it just depends on how you manage your social media. I'm not particularly great because I've got almost 6,000. I think I've probably got about 6,000 friends and followers on my Facebook, and probably about the same on LinkedIn. So that's a lot to keep up with, and I don't catch everything in the feed either. And I can be, sort of remiss and miss things because I'm not glued to the phone or on social media. So that can happen for some people, that they miss things and not even realize they've missed something. I've missed emails before now, and they've landed up in junk, and before I've got to it, it's disappeared. So I would say that, in our times, that in all these different social media platforms, it is possible that you can miss things. I certainly find one of the things that I do is to write a message on Messenger, because then if the person's seen it, because it has, you can see that it's been read. And I find that helps, because sometimes if you've sent an email, you don't know whether they've seen it, and vice versa. So I tend to find that that's like a quick way to have a response or not response. Sometimes I'll just put, a sort of a love, as a reaction, if I haven't got time. So yes, I feel that, it's important to respond. And at the same time, we have a lot happening, a lot going on. You can it's easy to forget if you land up in a phone call and you mean to respond and then you don't respond. So I just feel that in our world now of many social media platforms, it's kind of quite difficult to keep up with everything. And I quite agree. If there is something important, there must be a way that you can get to them easily and quickly.
Yes, and I agree with you're saying, especially when it comes to social media. I have people reaching out to me. I have no idea who they are, people offering me things, people asking me for things. And so I can't possibly keep up with all the places we are on social media. But I also feel very strongly about this. My father taught me this. Just because someone calls you doesn't mean it's the right time for you to pick up because you're busy. Just because someone posts something, that doesn't mean that you have to respond to them and when they want you to respond, because they're the ones reaching out, and that was a convenient time for them to reach out. It doesn't mean it's convenient for you. But where I'm going is that if you actually know someone, I know you, you know me, and you and I are having a dialogue, and then you just disappear, and then I have no idea what happened to you, and I think to myself, well, that's strange. That doesn't fit in with her behavior. But with some people, that is their behavior. They do this pattern of ghosting, and I'm not sure exactly what the reason is, but for people who have done that to me in the past, it was it took a while, but it's like, sayonara. I don't need that, because I don't need the stress of worrying of something that happened to them. And in every case, nothing happened to them. It's just they didn't feel like talking to me.
Well, yes, there's obviously something going on in their world, and for instance, the masculine energy can only focus on one or two things. So if you're trying to do many things, you can't do it. So it might be that there's a big project going on in their life, or there's something happening that has taken their attention away. And so I know for sure that there are many people that can only focus on one thing if it's a big project, and then they'll come back and not even realize, because their minds are all busy, they're very full, and they're not realizing what they're missing out on. There's something that I did want to talk about actually around Christmas. It was Christmas night. I had somebody video call me. I was in bed. And it was a young guy on social media. I'd not met him before. And he said, I just want to, so I declined the call. It was a video call. I declined the call because I was in bed. And I just thought, who the hell's this? And he wanted to just have a minute on a video call. And I just thought, well, why? You know, I'm sorry, I'm in bed, I'm with my family. You know, I'm not going to do a video call now or any time at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, he was really insistent. And I do feel that with social media having this this option to video call people, you don't actually know where they are. You know, a telephone call is sometimes inconvenient, but at least you're not, you know, you can be just out the shower or in bed and it's okay. But, you know, a video call, I just felt at that time was pretty intrusive. But we do live in this world that, you know, people expect an immediacy of connection and contact in the way that they move forward with it. I didn't do that video call, and I looked at his profile, and I thought that perhaps it's just best that I don't respond. I was very, very young, and he was saying, I really like older women, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, you know, that's not, I'm not using Facebook as a dating site, but these things can happen. And it's important to handle them in the right way for you.
Absolutely. And that's a great point that you made, because we are in the social public domain. And people think, you know, if they're watching the show, oh, yeah, let me reach out. All I have to do is go over to my device and do a video call. I can't tell you how many people try to contact me on Messenger or WhatsApp video calls, and then they'll just keep calling and calling and calling. I have to block them because I don't even know them. It's like if you were to get out what used to be the yellow pages and just start dialing for dollars, I call it. Just, it's intrusive. I mean, I think that's something that people don't really understand in a certain way. You have to earn the right for certain things. And just because you happen to be on a social media platform, that doesn't mean that you should just barrage someone, harass someone that you don't know because you have something on your mind that's important to you. There has to be value on both sides. One thing I've seen here on this platform is people actually asking for money. Like we're running the show and people are putting in, hey, can you donate to my charity? Not appropriate. You know what I'm saying? It's not appropriate. So, and we all have charities that we support, or we have things that we care about, and there's only so much to go around. But I'm sharing this because I think sometimes we get so caught up in ourselves that we don't think about the other person. We just think about, you know, me, and what I need, and I need it now, and I want an answer now, and drop what you're doing now. And you have to earn the right for that. Would you agree?
I do. It's fascinating. I totally agree with you. It's absolutely incredible how people have this expectation, you know, of that approach and thinking it's okay no matter what time of day. I've had calls at, you know, sort of 3 o'clock in the morning before now on Messenger, and they can see that I'm online because I'm doing a post or something like that. And so they come in. You know, I had one person, I accepted the friendship. I think there was some mutual friends, so I accepted the friend. And then I was quite busy. I was doing something, but I went through some of my notifications and accepted him. And he said, why don't you speak to me? He said, you accept my friend, but you won't speak to me. Oh, you know, this is not very good at all. And I just thought, whoa. That's like,
block, unfriend.
Yeah, it was just like, you know, whoa, gosh. I accepted it because it was one of the notifications. I thought, well, I'll accept that because there's quite a lot of mutual contacts. And then he kind of turned on me, and I just thought, gosh. So this is what I mean about the immediacy of expectation of social media, that it's changed the way that people have an expectation of when you should respond. Not even considering that you might be asleep, you might be in bed, you might be doing something else. Just because I look like I'm on, you know, I'm online, doesn't mean to say I'm available to chit chat. You know what I mean?
Or you even want to, or, you know, People don't get that. It's interesting. While the shows are running live, I can't tell you how many times, because I'm producing the shows, how many times people put pornographic comments. They put like things that are inappropriate, that have nothing to do with what we're talking about. I have to block them. I have to remove. You wouldn't even know while we're doing the show. I have to, it just happened to the last show, and and you wouldn't be able to do that, before was this whole launch of social media. So I just would ask people to use an element of kindness and respect when you reach out to somebody else. Is what you're saying necessary? Is it going to bring value? Do you have to say it now? And is it just about you? Or do you really have something that can help other people? And I think that's, Buster put some really good comments today that were really helpful. So thank you, Buster. And I see some other comments. Sorry, I'll get over to you in just a moment. But that's what I'm feeling like when it's about trying to fit in. That's our topic for today. Sometimes people will do things that either don't make any sense or absolutely inconsiderate or rude because they're desperate to connect with somebody. But in order to connect with somebody, you have to bring something of value. And you have talked about this so many times, being half a person or being a whole person. When you're a whole person, that sense of desperation of, oh my gosh, I have to do this. No, you are at peace. You are calm. But when you are that half a person, a quarter of a person, whatever it is, whatever fraction, you can have these urges, these impulses, these feelings of insecurity that cause you to do things that are not in your best interests and don't show you in the best light.
That's absolutely right. And it's because we're all human and we're all looking for approval in some way. And so when people are coming at you in that way, there's some level of seeking attention, seeking approval, or seeking something, as you say, for nothing. I have to schedule in eating and sleeping, even though, I'm up quite late, then I sleep in if I can. And, because I'm up quite late, it almost, because I'm showing online, it sometimes looks for some people like, well, she's online, so I'm just going to go and send her a message. I want to chat. And I frequently now say, how can I help you? Thank you for your connection. How can I help you? Which is not like sort of the response that you would expect from somebody that's looking to be chatted up. And I've had people say, oh, I don't want any help. You're really nice. I think you're a really nice woman. I like you. You're very kind. And I want to meet you. I want to chat with you. And there is a lot of that. I don't use Facebook or any social media platform for dating purposes. It's all for my work, my business. This onslaught of people coming in and having that expectation is quite interesting, or free. I want you to help me now, which might be 3 o'clock in the morning because you're online. So it's fascinating, this expectation that people have of an immediacy.
Yes, it's so true. And I just want to add on something to that in terms of social media. And I use my platforms pretty much for business as well. Once in a while, I'll put some personal picture, but not as much as I used to do a year ago. And what has really shocked me, I don't know why, but people will send me naked pictures of themselves, pornographic pictures. Wow. Yeah. And in Messenger and WhatsApp. So now if I don't know the person and I see there's an attachment, I never open it, because I know it's got to be generally something that I'm not going to be happy to see. And I don't think people realize that, at least here in the United States, I think that's against the law. So you can't send pictures and I'm telling you, videos that's interesting how people even got into these positions, but I don't want to see them. I didn't ask for them. I don't know who you are. And I don't know what people expect to get out of it.
Well, they're being authentically themselves, aren't they? They're demonstrating who they really are. And I never open attachments if I don't know who they're from, because you don't know whether it's loaded with a virus or some Trojan, that wants to take over your computer. So I'm extraordinarily wary of, because I have done in the past. So I've learnt my lesson. Like, what would I do differently? Never open something I don't know. It's caused me untold hours of stress, with talking to Microsoft to sort it all out. So I don't, when in doubt, I just don't open it.
Very
and it
wise.
always concerns me, because if it is a Trojan and then it wipes out your computer, like, that's the problem. And you just have to drop everything. And that's happened to me once too often, for me to not take action of not opening attachments if I don't know who they're from. But this perspective of doing everything that you possibly can do, certainly being on social media platforms, we are making ourselves very accessible, and people are getting to know us because we're communicating, and it's, we are on TV, and it's a bit like sort of celebrities, people think they know them because they've seen them a lot and they've listened to their shows, and they're in a conversation and a dialogue with you, but it's all on TV, and so they haven't actually had that dialogue with you personally. And I believe that could be a part of the challenge, that they feel like they know you, but you don't know them.
Exactly. And our role here, we're doing what we're doing because we're providing education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. And then when we're off the show, we have a life. I think I have a life. We have a life. and the people think that I guess that they have earned the right, if they're watching the show, to just reach out and say and do whatever it is that they want. But that's not the case. And to your point, it really shows who they are. Let's see. We have some more comments from Buffster. Let's see. Oh, goodness. Yes, I see that all the time. Sometimes it's even underage people. Awful. And it's illegal in the UK, especially underage.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we'd call that. Digital flashing, maybe. Yes. And sorry, consensual sexting is allowed amongst consenting adults, but the explicit exposure without consent for underage is illegal. Yeah.
And it goes on because people are hiding behind screens,
exactly,
and hiding under pseudonyms. So it does go on. And this is a changed time. And certainly when I was growing up, we didn't have social media. We could be getting dirty. And nobody would be there with a camera, videoing or taking shots. And so I feel that I had a much more relaxed childhood, because I could make mistakes and look a mess and it didn't matter. Whereas our young people today, everything is about how you look in that moment. And, it's a very different pressure that's placed upon the young people of today, that they need to be looking and performing in a certain way to get likes, to get comments. And, this is a change in society and our culture that we're working around.
Yeah, very true. And something I want to share that I think is relevant, and then we'll close out the show, is I was approached by somebody on Instagram through messaging, and they said, DM it on whatever their site was, right? So the name of their site was really interesting because it's in alignment with a number of the shows that we do here. So I thought, okay, I'll reach out and find out, because I know it's going to cost money, right? They're not going to do it just for free. So the person wrote back immediately with this package offer that they had. And then included in the package was 20,000 followers on Instagram. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And it was $100 to get 20,000 followers. And I thought to myself, how important are those followers if it's only $100? They're not following me because they like what I'm doing. They believe in what I'm doing. They have some way of getting those followers. I don't even know what it is. So I was not interested, unfortunately. And then the package that this person offered had a component of it I really was interested in. But then I thought to myself, if this sounds like it's too good to be true, then this is probably also too good to be true. So I just declined it. But I would just like our audience to think about that. It's not about the number. It's about how many people are truly engaged with what you're doing, and how many people are finding value in what you're doing, and vice versa when you're following someone else. So there might be people that have, 10, 20, 30 million people following them. What does it really mean?
That's very true. We are in a numbers game. How many likes, how many loves, how many comments, but what is really genuine? There's a lot of people I know look at my Facebook and they don't comment, like, or love, or do anything, and yet they've seen what I'm up to, and they know without putting those attachments to it. And I find it fascinating because they know what I'm up to, and yet I don't even realize that they're following me. So
Yeah,
it's amazing. Not everybody will make comments or react, and at the same time, people are aware of what you're up to.
it's so true. So true. Last comment I'll make about that is, I mentioned this on the show this morning, authentic achievements, is people are watching, reading, looking, and maybe they're not commenting, but they can reach out to us in other ways. And that's what happens to me. Somebody will reach out, they'll text me and they'll say, hey, I saw your post about XYZ. And I'll say, wow, I had no idea because you didn't comment or you didn't like. And the person wrote back, that's not really my thing, but I just wanted to let you know that I saw what's going on and I appreciate it or whatever. And I thought, oh, because sometimes we do post things, especially, if we have 25 shows a week, I have to do all those posts, and then the elevated listen. There's so many things that I do for posting for this work. And when I see a post that doesn't have a comment or a like or something, sometimes I'm like, oh, I guess I shouldn't have done that, that nobody cares. And it's not about somebody caring. It's about sharing the information. People are out there. They are watching, reading, and they're not comfortable with actually doing something on that post. And they don't have to. I always feel like if we can change the perspective of one person, if we can educate one person, bring hope, bring inspiration to one person, then we've done our work.
And that's why I'm here. That's
Yes.
exactly the reason that I'm here and sharing, hints, tips, awarenesses, understandings, and perspectives, is because if you can see something from a different perspective, if you can have insight in a challenged situation, therein lies a place where you can gain inner peace in your world and in that situation, and others similar. And so that's why I'm here, because to help more than one, and this platform is amazing to be able to do that, to reach more than one person with each person that calls. This is there forever. And that's why I feel so blessed to be on this platform, to be able to share, because I know that the information that I'm sharing is there forever on YouTube.
Yes, it is. And I'm truly grateful that you are here and you're bringing your expertise as a therapist and offering this free 30-minute Zoom stress buster. So this is what I'm going to say to our audience. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Caroline is here. She's a real, authentic person. She is helping people all the time. Wherever you are in the world, she can help you. So I want you to ask yourself, when are you going to pick up the phone and call her? When are you going to email her? When are you going to go over to LinkedIn and connect with her? That's why she's here. She could be doing a lot of other things. It's Friday night in London and she's here with us. So please do reach out to her. Caroline, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
You can reach me on email, which is nomorestress@live.co.uk, or call, if you're international, +44. If you're local, 07523 120 189. I offer a free stress buster consultation. You will feel more relaxed. That is a guarantee. And then if you want more from me, there is more to be had. I really look forward to helping you in whatever way that you are suffering with your stress, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, behavioral.
Thank you so much, Caroline. As we close out, we have a couple of comments from a Facebook user, absolutely Jackie. By the way, I don't go by Jackie anymore. It's JACALYN. But thank you. Thank you so much for watching and commenting. I appreciate it. And Buffster, thank you both for your time. Thank you, Buffster. We really appreciate you being here and asking really intelligent, thoughtful questions. All right, we are signing off. Our next show, presenting Pet Psychic Amina, is starting, I think, in about 3 minutes. So I'm going to run over to the other studio. Caroline, take care of yourself. Have a good weekend. I'll be in touch. Bye, everyone.
Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Bye.